Hello and welcome to today's webinar brought to you by Six Connects and Wainhouse Research. Today we're talking about the new era of perpetual engagement. I'm Steven Vonder Haar, Senior Analyst with Wainhouse Research, and joining me for today's session is Luiz Martins from Six Connects. Welcome, Luiz.
Hey, Steve. I'm very happy to be here. I know you guys that are attending this are giving us your most precious asset. So Steve and I are committed to making this into give you guys as insightful ideas as we possibly can that you can make it your own, take to your business, and drive impact.
Well, absolutely, Luiz. And we want to talk a lot about virtual events and what the impact of the virtual event revolution is having on marketing today. But first, let's just address a few logistics related to today's event. Want to make sure that everyone knows it's always a commonly asked question when you're in webinars. Will it be available on demand? And absolutely, this session will be available on an on-demand basis, and we'll be sending an email at the end of the event with instructions on how to get access to that archive session. Also, we want to emphasize that today needs to be an interactive session. We want to get your questions, address the topics that are most relevant to you when we look at the questions related to virtual events and its adoption in the marketing realm. And even if you're watching this on an archive on an on-demand basis, we'll see that we'll see that you can also send questions to the email address listed on the screen. But let's dive into the content now and talk about the momentum behind virtual events. Now, Wainhouse Research surveyed more than 2,100 end users in the fourth quarter of 2020 in our annual enterprise video end user survey. And in that survey, we saw that there's significant adoption of virtual event capabilities in 2020, and even more interest in these capabilities as we move into the year ahead. Overall, 17% of those that we surveyed said that they were using virtual events and intended to continue using virtual events into 2021. Another 26% said that they were experiencing in 2020 and plan to expand in the year ahead. So overall, you have more than 4 out of 10 organizations represented in the survey saying that they are using virtual events in 2020, but more than half, when you look at those who are expanding on their current usage and either considering their first implementation of the technology, more than half of organizations are actually expanding their use of virtual events in the coming year. And Luiz, it's just been a wild year, driven a lot by the unfortunate circumstances surrounding COVID, but really the situation in today's market really has driven awareness of this type of technology that really brings a different a set of capabilities into the marketing toolbox.
No, absolutely, Steve. What we've seen happen is that we used to be a niche player. So virtual events was very niche, and because of COVID, it became mainstream instantly, right? And obviously, when you try new technologies, and I speak for myself, right? And during this slides, I'm going to share a little bit of my journey, why I ended up here about 1.5 years ago. But mainly what happened is that folks didn't really know what to expect from a virtual environment or a virtual event. And they didn't know the capabilities that they could deploy by doing something like that. And what has happened over the last 14 months or so is that people experimented, and there's no shortage of creativity in marketing and sales teams, right? And once they leveraged this technology, they came up with some very unique ways of leveraging these environments that we're also going to touch upon on these slides. And they also, I think the overall conclusion, I was talking to a customer about 3-4 months ago, and they've ran like 4 or 5 events over the last 8 months. And his first reaction to me was saying, hey, this wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It actually gave us a lot of insights, a lot of new opportunities to engage. And they started their programs now expanding into a multi-year program with virtual environments again. So I think that experience happened to a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think, Luiz, a lot of people look at virtual events and say, oh, well, that's just another way to do an industry trade show. And there's no denying that virtual event platforms do provide a great alternative to the traditional conference or trade show. But when we take a step back, we realize that the unique combination of features and functionality within a virtual event platform really works in a wide range of applications. When we surveyed our group, just as many people were saying they were using virtual event platforms for continuing professional education as they were for industry trade shows. Also, things like virtual job fairs and corporate events for customers also used substantially for marketing and business communications overall in 2020. So, Luiz, are you seeing a range of applications, or how are Six Connects customers really putting this technology to work during the past year?
Yeah, everything that you have there, with the exception of weddings. We're
No
not.
weddings for Six Connects.
Oh yeah, we don't cater to that specific market, at least not yet.
Yeah.
We're launching a new product that may be a good match for that, but overall we've seen all of that plus a lot more, right? So basically what we're saying is a shift. The reason for us pitching this webinar is that we're seeing a shift on people's usage of the platform. So folks that came in to do a trade show, to do a job fair, to do an internal event for their organizations, and they looked at the possibilities, they looked at the tools that they could bring in or already embedded in our technology, and they said we can do so much more. So we're going to be touching on those as we go through the slides, but basically what the major change and adaptation that we're seeing is that people are now thinking of this platform as it's not a unique one-off event. They're
Right.
looking at the platform as a way to engage communities and just have that conversation that we as marketers, so we're in dire need of having technologies that bring together different parts of our marketing efforts and kind of drive through a journey. And I think
Yeah,
that's the biggest change that we're
yeah, and I
seeing.
think it really drives to the adoption and awareness of virtual event platforms as we move forward. It really is still for many marketers kind of a new platform where you might not know exactly how to take advantage of all the capabilities, but anybody who has a need to communicate will find value in leveraging the new blend of capabilities that are accessible under a virtual event platform. I think of the notion of, for example, of a company that might be doing a product roadmap session. You could do those types of product roadmap sessions on a typical webcast on a one-to-many basis and get the message out to everybody. But in a virtual event platform, you can have that initial session educating everyone on key customers, prospects about what you're bringing down the line in terms of your future product roadmap. And then instead of ending the session right there and letting all those customers scatter to the four winds, invite those individuals into one-on-one breakout rooms and get their instant feedback related to what you just presented in terms of product roadmap. That can be valuable information that can help the product development process and let you as a marketer, let you as a product developer know exactly what your customers are thinking about what you're bringing to the market. And that's just one example of when people have a communication need, how that can be enhanced when we begin applying these capabilities of a virtual event platform in different applications. And but I think that the overarching message that we got out of our survey results in the fourth quarter 2020 is that people really are seeing virtual event platforms as a venue where they can get things done. 3/4 of those that we surveyed say they agree that the opportunity to attend events remotely would make me more productive. So it's the idea that you don't have to, in all cases, get on an airplane, rent a hotel room, or even hop in the car for a crosstown visit. Rather, you do these things remotely. You still get the level of engagement that you get from an in-person event to a great extent, but you're not committing quite so much time, so you become more productive. And 7 out of 10 respondents said they agreed with the notion that because of COVID concerns in 2021, that they expect that they will participate remotely in events that they have attended previously. So there's going to be an acceptance in the year ahead of remote events, even as we claw our way back to normalcy. There's a sense that online video embedded within virtual events can create a level of engagement that really does deliver productive value. And matter of fact, when we segment Wainhouse survey results in this graphic, we talk about the responses of those who have only attended work-related events and compare that to those who have attended social events. And those who have attended work-related events said that they would actually attend more conferences if they were given the option to participate remotely. So those who have used virtual events for productivity-oriented applications really recognize and understand that this helps get things done. And when you're given the option to participate remotely, you are likely to take that option because you see it as a productive way to use your time. Now, Luiz, when we begin thinking about productivity, what's the biggest challenge for you from a marketing perspective? How are you productive as a marketer, irrespective of virtual events? Is it really getting people's mind share, or what do you aspire to do?
Yeah, I really like this slide. Right now, I know we have about 110 folks attending, and I know a lot of you are multitasking. It's the nature. It's our nature.
They're all laser focused on Luiz, on us. Come on.
Absolutely, Steve. But it's the nature of who we are, right? And as marketers, the reason we do webinars like this and video sessions like this and generate content, we're trying to get your attention. We're saying, hey, look at me, kind of thing, right? And the fact that we can actually control a whole environment that minimizes distraction and allows you to actually get stuff done through video interactions, through conversations, through one-on-one chats, through me sharing my content with you in a controlled way makes a huge difference. And the first thing that I'm trying to do is obviously, you nailed it, Steve. It's mind share, right? It's awareness. We're trying to generate awareness. So yeah, that slide is a perfect follow-up to this, right? As marketers, we spend the majority of our life saying, hey, look at me, kind of thing, right? And we're going to talk about each one of these and kind of give examples how you can incorporate that into virtual environments.
Yeah, really what you're talking about here is something that you shared with me in terms of looking at the 4 pillars of marketing, if you will. It's the basic blocking and tackling of marketing, but virtual events help you really attack the marketing issue in fresh new ways. So why don't we go through each one of these: awareness, qualification, funnel, and nurturing. And let's talk first about generating awareness. What do you see happening when you're using a virtual event platform? As a guy who's tracked the streaming market for a long time, I always look at the main stage presentation. The one-to-many video is the thing that really grabs people's attention and brings them in and generates the audience. But when you're looking at a virtual event platform, there's a number of tools to bring to bear. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, perfect, Steve. So here's an example. 6Connects is a large player in our space, but when compared to a lot of the companies that we serve, we're a small player, and we generate an enormous amount of content. Here's an example of the content that we're talking about. We're talking about videos, we're talking about social media, we're talking about our website and events and PRs, all this stuff that is really key for us to generate awareness. And the challenge that we have when we generate this awareness, and I'm sure you guys on the marketing and sales side kind of sympathize, is that we need to make sure that we convert that content with our leads journey. And when we're doing this and leveraging an environment that we control and we design the lead journey, it makes life so much simpler. And you're absolutely right, Steve. a keynote address or a presentation, we are using shorter presentation time, but 20, 30 minutes, 45 minutes of a keynote with Q&A just drives people's attention and captures people's imagination. And then you can drive that audience to other parts of your environment to then track, and we're going to talk about metrics in a minute, but to then track their activity and their engagement with that content.
Yeah, and absolutely, it's the idea that really when we look at virtual event capabilities, that they do really set the stage or create an area where you can create what we call perpetual engagement. You don't have to always point to one magic conference or one magic event in the future and bet your whole marketing campaign on a single engagement event down the line. Rather, virtual events let you spread out engagement over the course of a marketing campaign. And one of the things that we have found in the survey is that people do perceive live video as a tool that fosters engagement. 85% agreeing with the notion that live video enhances viewer engagement with an online presentation, and does it in multiple ways. We talked about the main stage application having a key big time presenter who is of interest to many viewers and attendees, giving people reason to attend and show up to listen to the presentation of that particular thought leader. But there's also the opportunity within virtual events to leverage the venue for one-on-one video collaboration or small group video engagement. So every step of the way, you have a chance to use video. And Luiz, really that really gets us thinking about driving engagement in new creative ways. Do you see a lot of customers or really rethinking how they leverage video as part of their marketing toolbox?
Absolutely. One of the big investments that most companies do is on the creation of videos, right? Be it live for a particular audience or just creating videos that you can extend the shelf life of that video and that communication. What we believe it has happened. So if you think about the journey, people didn't or were not doing any kind of virtual events, and then they had this one opportunity to run an event, and they had to do it virtually because of COVID-19. So they ran that event and worked really well. And what they noticed after that is that they left it live, extending the shelf life of that content. And they noticed a lot of engagement post-event. So folks would still go to the environment, would still watch the video, would still ask questions about that video that they were looking at, and trying to find more about that content.
Yeah,
and people, light bulbs start coming up because they were saying, all right, I have this environment, I have this shelf life of my content just extended. So why can't I do more? Which takes us to that slide.
Yeah, if you have all these people coming back to your website, consuming or to your venue, consuming content on a post-event basis, it really means nothing if you don't know who these people are. So one of the pillars of any successful virtual event is essentially to do qualification up front. You got to be able to register people. Develop a profile, hopefully integrate that one with your own CRM solution. But Luiz, this has to be like job number one for you. Even though it's step number 2 here, it's job number 1, knowing who you're talking to.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, we as marketers, we are always saying, hey, look at me, look at me. The minute you start looking at us, we start qualifying you.
Exactly.
It sounds a little cheap, but this is the basic of marketing, right? We want to make sure that we're talking to the right folks, and these folks understand what we're doing, and there is a fit to what they're looking for, and they have the authority to make a decision. There's a timing that is associated with the purchase or understanding more and whatever steps we feel is adequate to our process. But absolutely, the fact that you can have an environment where you can have that intersection of content and leads, and on top you have a layer that you can then qualify those leads are absolutely gold for marketers, right?
Yeah.
So this is something that our customers have experimented, and the results are there. We'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and what we found in the survey is that those who are familiar with the concept or interested in attending virtual events in 2021, they are much more likely to agree with the statement than those who are not likely to attend virtual events. That with the statement that we have high interest in detailed online event viewership data that can help us identify customers, prospects, and really prioritize the sales funnel. So literally those who come to virtual events recognize that it is an opportunity to share a little bit of themselves with marketers as well, and in that way, marketers are able to target their messages a little bit better to those who are using virtual events. But there is a symbiosis or a correlation between interests in marketing data and the adoption of virtual event platforms overall. That those who are attending virtual events recognize how it can play a role in the overall marketing communications toolbox, and that's all about driving funnel capability, right, Luis? It's when you're able to identify that an individual prospect is engaging in a certain way, you kind of nudge them through the process, don't you?
Absolutely. So I think that slide, it kind of sums up everything we've been talking about, right? We have a controlled environment where we drive the journey for the leads. We then associate that journey with the content we want to provide those leads. We qualify those leads so that we can bring them to a funnel and drive them through our funnel by providing context, demos, calls, conversations, videos, and adding more context to their engagement with us. I think when you're done, the result of that, if we could go to the next slide, please, Steve,
yeah.
is you come out of it understanding the value that the content coming together with that lead brings to an organization.
Yeah, we see literally 4 out of 5 respondents agreeing with the statement that live video can serve as a focal point for online interaction and community building. So literally you have the opportunity to build the equivalent of a digital neighborhood along a specific digital marketing topic where individuals can come and literally use that destination as a resource for information on an ongoing basis. And really, when they come back and visit, that really contributes to the overall nature of the whole nurturing and the final step of nurturing that customer along the engagement cycle.
Yeah, perfect. And as they came out of that funnel that we were just talking about, they may come out as a customer, we hope so, or a non-customer. But regardless of that, we continue building on that sense of community, that sense of neighborhood that you just described, Steve, to bring them back to this community, to this neighborhood, and re-engage in many different ways. So that's the non-customer journey, but the customer journey as well. You don't stop talking to your customers because they became a customer, right? And having all these folks participating in a virtual venue that drive engagement and higher levels of engagement for customers and beginner engagement for non-customer in one single environment, it just delivers great results as we have experienced and our customers have experienced.
Now, one of the things that as we talk about engagement, one of the things that we have to remember is that you have to sometimes go to the customers where they're living as opposed to asking them to come to you. And I think when we're talking about engagement within the virtual event environment, a virtual event environment is not necessarily an island unto its own, is it, Luis? It has to be integrated with the place where individuals are living, working, and being productive on a day-to-day basis. Talk a little bit, if you can, a little bit about the role of being able to embrace a wide array of applications, being able to integrate different applications into a virtual event platform, and how that impacts engagement over the long haul.
So for all the marketers out there, what you're seeing there, the logos represent our MarTech stack. So these are the tools that we use at 6 Connects to engage and to put our messages out. And again, I'm sure that if we were to plot your company's MarTech, it would look similar, or if not bigger than what we're showing over there. On that slide alone, I think we all have earned our salaries. We have to deal with a lot of different technologies. What we do, what we allow companies to do, is to bring that array of technologies and combine them into one single environment. So we have a lot of already built-in engagement tools, but 6 Connects was designed as an open environment. So you can bring your app, your social media, whatever tool you use on a day-to-day basis that your users need no training, they do it on a daily basis. If they use Zoom, bring over Zoom. If they use Teams, bring over Teams. Whatever technology they leverage today for engagement, you can bring that internally to this virtual environment, which obviously increases your chance of engagement, or successful engagement, and meaningful engagement, but as well it minimizes the need for training and support overall.
And we see that there's a substantial number of applications that can be integrated, and really that drives towards API strategy, doesn't it? In terms of not all virtual event platforms are created equal in that regard. Talk a little bit about how 6 Connects really brings together the ability to weave together these applications in a meaningful way.
Right. So we're all about creating a customizable environment for your organization to design that journey for your customers, right? For your leads, for your prospects, what have you. So you see on the left, we have this spider web graphic where we sit in the middle and we're able to incorporate a multitude of different technologies. And these are just some. We've done so many more of those. And we bring them into a context. So imagine you're running an environment and you want to have a social wall where you can have your customers interact with your social media. And you allow all of your social media to be on that space, on that room, for specifically to engage for a certain topic or a product launch or a service approach or a demo that you did. And we can replicate this in so many different ways. This really makes it quite unique. And then you marry that with the opportunity that you have. On the right, you have two examples of very different environments. One on the top, you see it's just a cool lobby that you can set up as your lobby, your own. And at the bottom, you have one of our customers who they have a festival. And they built that environment into a festival setting. So people felt like they are in the outdoors and doing that. And on these environments, you can bring whatever tool you would like, and you believe it improves your chances of meaningful engagement with your audiences.
Now, Luis, we're going to be opening the floor to Q&A, and we certainly encourage everyone to. We have a number of questions we want to get to, but before that, we're going to do what I like to call our parting shots, and kind of what we see as some of the key takeaways that we want to emphasize as part of this process. And I'll go ahead and take the first parting shot. I encourage users to look for ways to create new engagement windows. Don't think of this virtual event revolution as something that is going to force you to replace your existing marketing strategies, your use of in-person conferences. Rather, online virtual events really can be an enhancement to the existing marketing campaign, allowing perpetual engagement, ongoing opportunities, rather than having a marketing campaign that builds to a single event at the end of the year, for example. You can have online events quarterly or even monthly on topics, on very finely defined topic areas, where you're able to talk specifically to an interest group that is able to gather on a remote basis and keep that mind share, keep the conversation going, ultimately building to that virtual event or that in-person event at the end of the year. So really embrace these virtual alternatives to fill the vacuum in engagement that you have in a year-long marketing campaign. Luis, do you have a parting shot?
I sure do, right? I think the first thing is kind of obvious. I have 2 bullet points there, as you can see. The first one is that the fundamentals of marketing do not change. They are the same, right? We've oversimplified the 4 like main things that we do, right? You create awareness, you drive engagement, and you qualify, and you drive them through a funnel, and all this good stuff. That doesn't change. What it does change, and the fact that you are here and you're staying with us after a half hour of this conversation, it means that you've identified an opportunity to really make a difference and approach it in a different way. And I think what we're talking about here is your ability to create your own company environment that you can use in so many different ways. And I think that is that's really interesting for you guys to think about how you could drive and think about really a new era of engaging with your audiences, engaging with your customers to drive your message and to drive awareness and bring them closer to you as a company. So I think that's what I'd like to leave with. Just imagine the possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have quite a few questions here. So, Luis, I'm gonna just hop in and we'll point some of these at you. I'll hop in and answer some as they relate to me. But first one goes directly to you, Luis. Have you, Luis, done any hybrid events, and what are the logistics involved? And I guess this is an opportunity for us to talk about the hybrid opportunity and the buzz surrounding that right now.
That's right. Well, first, let me do a plug. We have a webinar on the 20th. I'll make sure that you all get a link to it that talks specifically about hybrid. And it's interesting. 6NX has been around for 11 years. We've done so many hybrid events. so yeah, there is inherently a little bit of a different approach to hybrid. The way we take our approach to hybrid is we focus on attendee parity, which means that the opportunity for engagements that a physical attendee and a virtual attendee have when they go to a particular event, we'd like it to be the same. So everything that we have done in our engagement tools is to make sure that the opportunity for engagement is the same. And this is a webinar on and on itself, but there are a lot of questions about how you design your event and how virtual plays a role and how physical plays a role. But think about the possibilities of having, one of the biggest budget items that you have when putting together an event is your speakers. You can actually bring a virtual speaker to a physical event. So you bring a screen in a large screen set into a venue, a physical venue, and you bring your virtual speaker into that environment. And the interaction happens both for the folks that are watching it physically and the folks that are watching it virtually. So the combinations are really endless. We can certainly and would be delighted if you gave us the opportunity to discuss this to your specific case. If that's if that's an avenue you'd like to explore.
Yeah, echoing what you said, Luis, I think attendee parity is paramount. Once individuals feel like they're getting shortchanged or losing out because they're attending remotely, that's a slippery slope for hybrid and the virtual component of a hybrid event. You want those remote attendees to feel like they're getting every bit of the value that an in-person attendee is getting in order to make that virtual that virtual realm more productive for them. We have more questions here. Let me throw this one at you. Do you have any input, Luiz, on engagement through gamification and virtual reality? He's looking for the right platform that enables that type of engagement. Thank you. And certainly gamification is a huge tool that folks are really looking to leverage reward programs, encourage different type of behaviors within the virtual event itself by rewarding individuals or creating a kind of a choose your own adventure type of approach where you get rewards in exchange for doing selected activities. What's your outlook on gamification, Luiz?
Yeah, we as a company have chosen not to do virtual reality and just really invest in our gamification capabilities, because we feel that when people get involved with certain aspects of the event, you raise the engagement level and the chances for converting folks into a brand advocate and understanding what you guys do as a company. It raises the profile, right? So gamification for us is really important. Right now, what we're focusing on, Juan mentioned virtual reality. We're talking about reality. So the hybrid. So we're combining how we mix gamification and the virtual arena and the physical arena. So you have a combined effort between folks that are physically there and folks that are doing it virtually, and you can deploy gamification for both audiences. We have a lot of tools that allow that to happen, and we're putting that to use both on our hybrid events as well as in our virtual events.
I think it's important to remember, Luiz, that just because you can do a technology doesn't mean you should do a technology. And some of these platforms that are promoting 3D or avatar type of approaches, certainly they have their role for some users. But overall, in our review of the marketplace, the addition of value through enhanced engagement in a 3D realm, you're actually focusing more on the technology than what you're trying to communicate via the technology. And so the 3D capability really can run at cross purposes sometime, depending upon your own marketing objectives and what you're trying to communicate. Yeah, if you're trying to be on the bleeding edge, it might be some way to draw some attention. But if you're trying to get people to focus on your message, what you're trying to tell them on a day-by-day throughout the event, the 3D capabilities can almost be a hindrance to that process as opposed to something that helps. We do have one questioner here, Luiz, who wants us to briefly review step number 3, the funnel. And I think it's the notion let's figure out or explain maybe more thoroughly how we can help a lead or prospect work through the funnel through the implementation of virtual event technologies and capabilities. And in some ways, this goes back to what happens after the event, but maybe if you can walk us through, or let's talk in a little more detail about funnel for this attendee's benefit.
I think this is a very smart question, right? So you're looking at a virtual event and you're probably thinking, how do I actually drive those folks through a funnel when I have a full environment with content? How do I actually match qualification into this entire process? This is a very smart question. So the way we look at this is that you can create engagement opportunities throughout this environment and conversion opportunities as well. So you can build things as sign up for a demo, which would be a real bottom of funnel activity, but then can work backwards to watch a video of a product demo, which is kind of maybe middle of funnel. Or you can create learn more about this product, which is top of funnel. So you can create within that environment that you've built different ways of converting those folks. And because you're getting access to all this information, I saw a question about how do we filter noise on and make sure that we pull exactly the right folks into our funnel for automation. That's the same way. It's the same answer, right? You create this engagement opportunities and you focus on the entire funnel all the way from top, middle, and bottom. And those conversion points will give you filtered access to leads that are really interested in different levels of engagement with you. Then you can act on by moving these leads over to whatever campaigns support your top, middle, and bottom of funnel activities.
Yeah. And I think we have one more question. This probably comes from a European viewer because they're already thinking about happy hour while we in the States here are in our mornings. But this user asks, can you build a happy hour component?
Oh, absolutely. So we were talking about we at Six Connects, we drink our own Kool-Aid. We have our own environment. So in our own environment, we have a yoga room that you can go in there. You can look at how to do certain things in yoga. I'm not a big yoga guy. Sorry about that. But you have videos in there that you can engage and do that. We have our happy hour, which is, we are kind of old fashioned. So we have a disco and we have Spotify integrated. So we can pick playlists from different folks in the organization. So it's actually fun to listen to what our CEO likes to listen to. And we can make fun of that afterwards. But it's fun to pull that information and make it really an engagement opportunity. And open hours, I think it's a happy hour. It's a great way to finish this conversation. Yeah. But yes, absolutely, we can build that into any environment that we work with.
Yeah, Luiz and I will adjourn to the bar, even though it's not quite margarita time here yet. But we'll make that we'll make that exception for this time. So. We're just about at the finish, but we know that some questions do emerge, particularly if you're watching this on an on-demand basis. Know that you can follow up with us. The Six Connects marketing team will get the questions to Luiz or myself, and we'll respond to it. Email us at marketing@sixconnects.com, and we'll address any follow-on questions that come up. Luiz, thanks so much for your time. It was great visiting with you today, and I think I learned a lot through the process, and appreciate you taking the time for the visit.
My pleasure, Steve. I couldn't think of a better person to have this conversation with. Appreciate the time and insightful thoughts that you brought today.
And our thanks goes to you and our audience. Please be sure to feel free to share the link for this webinar with other colleagues who you think might be interested in what we talked about today. And again, if you have follow-up questions, please reach out and we'll get you the information needed. For Six Connects and Wainhouse Research, I'm Steven Vonder Haar. Thanks for your time.